Alright team, it's done. The concept for the Resident Evil 5 remake is finally done. Concept? That hasn't even decided yet. Who are you? Well, I'm the guy you hired to fix the 16-year-old diversity issue with this game, because IGN said so. Well, I hired somebody to tell IGN to fuck off, but I think you're gonna love what I've done here. You see, the whole idea is to make Chris black. No, we can't just make him black. That wouldn't make any sense. And after that, we can make all the Mangini white. Well, why would you do both? That doesn't even... Well, if you look at my designs, you'll see the picture. The big picture. Yeah, that's great. But the thing is, we have fans. Fans who want a faithful adaptation. Fans who don't care what some douchebag at IGN thinks. What could be more faithful than replacing the boulder that Chris punches with the Karen? Get the hell out of here.
Racism, 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 racism.
So, a couple of days ago, IGN may have said the dumbest thing they've ever said. This would be, of course, stating that Resident Evil 5, a game that is over a decade old, that came out in 2009, is racist. It's a statement that was made by a few crazy people back then, but given the times we live in now, a time when reporters attempt to destroy the lives of 10-year-olds, it should be no surprise to anyone that IGN would attempt to bring this back up as a legitimate thing. It was stated in a video on why Resident Evil 5 shouldn't be remade, and obviously it's got a lot of attention. It's the reason their comment section on X has been turned off, but I'm gonna do something unexpected here and not go right into that. Yes, half the video is devoted to a game that came out in 2009 being racist, but the first half goes in a completely different direction that is also very confusing. The proposition here is that it shouldn't be remade because it's not as good as Part 4. One reason they've given is not enough horror, obviously, but the other is being too linear.
And those levels are not locations to be explored. Instead, they are largely funnels that push you from entrance to exit.
Okay, that is an issue, as is many issues with this game. For most people, the AI comes to mind, but how is that not a reason to remake it? Resident Evil 4 has much more interesting environments, yeah, but you really can't update that? Are you telling me if they redo it, it won't be enough like the original? It's funny because last I checked, 2 and 3 completely changed the way you play those games, and nobody complained about that. But making the environments more open, having them be less linear, if they go in that direction, it just wouldn't be the same.
All this is to say that a faithful remake of Resident Evil 5 would break Capcom's 7-year streak of brilliant survival horror games.
It's obvious they're just making stuff up as an excuse to play the race card, as I guess they don't want to devote a whole video just to that, but it's just a bizarre argument to make. I'll admit, I personally wish they'd do Code Veronica next, as that game is not perfect either. It has a major issue with backtracking, but honestly, Resi 5 is probably the easiest game to do. Aside from making the game less linear, which could be done with little effort, they just gotta fix the obvious flaws that have existed for years, make it so a single headshot stuns the enemies, unlike the last effort, and you have what could easily be a satisfying remake. Again, they just want to excuse the bullshit spewed in this video, and I want to tell anybody who's infuriated by this, don't take this guy seriously.
Intentionally or not, Resident Evil 5 positioned Africa as the Dark Continent, an uncivilized world harboring a diseased population that needs gunning down via Western intervention in the name of global security.
Just in case you don't know the origins of this game, you are not playing as a white guy who kills a bunch of black people. You're playing as a white guy or a black woman who kills a bunch of infected black people who are trying to kill you. I'm not going to go into the full details on the game's story, but that should give you all you need to know how stupid this is. In the same video, he goes on to praise the previous remake, the one that has you playing as a white guy and mowing down countless Spaniards, but nobody cares about Spaniards. And if they ever remake Part 6, I've got a feeling nobody from IGN is gonna bat an eye to the fact that that game takes place mostly in China. Basically, we have a trio of games that takes place out of the US, and only one of them ever gets complained about. This is the inevitable reason they give for why the game shouldn't be remade, as the solution they give to fix it would change things too much.
Even with a vastly improved, more sensitive take on the continent, perhaps one with a black protagonist and a more empathetic look at the outbreak, the experience would simply be too divorced from the original to hold the name Resident Evil 5.
Yes, you're right about that. Shoehorning in a black protagonist would look stupid, but I know you guys know this. I know IGN isn't really that dumb. There is a black protagonist in this game. Sheva Alomar is highly criticized for being your partner who throws away ammo, but she is actually playable even if you're not playing in co-op. I can understand why not everybody knows this because she has to be unlocked, and if you beat the game you're only allowed to play on New Game Plus without erasing stuff, so naturally she's not used that often. That was a dumb decision design-wise, but I don't think it was intentionally done because she's not white. I could also mention the other black character in this game, who you also play as, but like I said, there's no point taking this seriously. This is not somebody who sat down and said, you know what, I've got to expose this racist game that came out over a decade ago because it's the right thing to do. No, this is somebody who thought, let's see if I can stir up some racist controversy because that's what we do now. Obviously, it's gotten a lot of people mad, which may be the idea, but again, it's not to be taken as a legitimate thing.
In the 2020s, in a post-Black Lives Matter world, there is only one acceptable response to a white man shooting waves of Africans for an entire video game. No.
It's probably the dumbest thing they've said, intentionally or not, but I'll be honest, I don't think it's the worst thing they've said. If this is the way you think, if you agree with this racist mindset, then you're gonna like this guy, but who cares? If you don't think with this racist mindset, then I highly doubt you'll care what this asshole says. I don't think this will affect anything. I don't think Capcom, a Japanese company, gives a damn what IGN thinks, so in the end, there's not really any harm done here. The only time Resident Evil even hinted at being woke is when the Oculus port of the 4th game cut out the offensive dialogue, but that wasn't really on Capcom. But then again, they could copy and paste in another black guy, maybe adjust Chris's skin tone to a darker side to make it less offensive, or maybe just make all the citizens white. That'd make sense. So, joking aside, it's clear to me this won't have any effect. What does have an effect is when they blatantly lie about the games. Only giving Evil West a 7, criticizing the Cosmic Shake to death for literally no reason, stating that Lies of P has easy dumb bosses. It's clear they just make things up to justify giving games low ratings, and the high ones go to the games that aren't allowed to fail.
This is fucking sick.
To me, this is the true damage of IGN, not a fake accusation of racism that affects nobody. Why anybody would subscribe to them is beyond my comprehension. I can't see why anyone would value their opinion, but if you haven't dropped off yet, this should be the final straw.
Capcom now has the opportunity to ignore the past and completely reinvent this chunk of the timeline.
Resident Evil 5 is not racist. Capcom is not racist. And, to be completely honest, I'm kind of glad they destroyed their reputation, because even the first half of this video makes no sense. This game needs a remake, Code Veronica needs a remake more, Zero needs a remake more than that, but that's a topic for when they decide to announce something, and IGN is a company you need to unsubscribe to, and get reviews from somebody who isn't trying to get attention. Like always, they serve as a good means of amusement, the only thing I can always count on from them. I'm the Game Analyst, and don't forget, Spaniards are people too, and the Chinese are also people too, even if your school doesn't think so. Oh, what? You're actually here? That's fucking amazing. I guess you may as well check out the main channel, in which I discuss movies, TV series, and the offensive topics that lie within. If you're into that, then press the link in the description. It's right there.